Have you ever met someone who seemed to light up a room, only for you to later realize they were just setting it on fire on their way out? What if the warmest smiles weren't signs of safety, but warnings in disguise? And what if the woman you're drawn to most is actually the one most likely to leave you doubting your worth? Let's be clear, this isn't about blaming, and it's definitely not about bitterness. It's about waking up. Because if you've walked through enough years, and I know you have, you've already seen this truth play out: not every woman who walks into your life is meant to stay. And not every exit is a loss. You've likely encountered them before, the ones who shine on the outside but leave a chill in the air when they leave. The ones who draw you in with laughter, charm, even beauty, only to slowly unravel your peace of mind. But recognizing them? That takes more than instinct, it takes experience, and even more importantly, clarity. Let's be honest. Not every smile is sincere. Not every shared moment is mutual. Just because she's holding your hand doesn't mean she's there to hold you up. Life is simply too precious, too short, to keep spending your emotional currency on women who leave you drained, doubtful, or tangled in second guesses. Especially those who mask their true nature behind flawless etiquette, curated elegance, or seductive charisma. In today's video, we're diving deep into 6 clear signs of toxic women, traits that every man must learn to recognize. This isn't about making judgments. It's about developing wisdom. It's about protecting your peace, your energy, and your future. Because as the Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And I'd add, it also depends on the company you keep. The wrong presence can poison your mindset just as fast as the right one can empower it. So let's sharpen your vision. Let's stop mistaking charm for character. You ready? Let's begin with the first sign, and it's one too many men miss until it's already done its damage. She's always the victim. No matter the situation, whether it's a stranger in the checkout line, a best friend from high school, or one of her 3 exes, somehow, she's never the problem. She's always the one who was hurt, betrayed, or misunderstood. And at first, you might even feel sorry for her. You're sitting across the table, nodding along, feeling protective. She paints vivid pictures, stories of how cruel the world has been, how deeply others have let her down. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe that all she needs is someone like you to finally treat her right. But that's exactly where the trap begins. Next, we'll look at how this pattern unfolds, and how it slowly pulls you in. So as we saw before, when a woman always plays the victim, it's rarely about what happened to her, it's about what she can get from you. And the longer you stay, the clearer the pattern becomes. At first, it seems harmless. She's just being honest, right? Opening up about her past. But soon, you start to realize, it's not about healing old wounds. It's about control. I remember a man named Tom. He was one of the good ones, level-headed, kind, thoughtful. The kind of man who listens, who supports, who doesn't run when things get tough. After his divorce, he met a woman who seemed refreshingly open. She poured her heart out from the very beginning. Told him how her ex had lied and mistreated her. How her boss held her back because he couldn't handle strong women. How her family always favored her sister and never gave her a fair shot. At first, Tom admired her strength. He respected how she had endured so much and still stood tall. But as time passed, something started to feel off. The stories didn't stop. In fact, they kept coming, one after another, like chapters in a book with the same theme. Everyone had wronged her. Every job. Toxic. Every boss. Jealous. Every friend. A backstabber. And slowly, Tom realized he wasn't just a partner in this relationship, he was cast into a role he never auditioned for. He was either the rescuer, constantly validating her pain, or the enemy, simply for disagreeing or daring to suggest she take some accountability. Here's where things start to get dangerous. A woman trapped in a victim mindset doesn't just avoid responsibility, she rewrites reality. She bends every situation to fit her narrative. And if you let her close enough, you'll find yourself tangled in the script. You'll be the next person who let her down. The next one who never really understood her. And no matter how much you give, it will never be enough. It's a cycle, and it's exhausting. Stoicism reminds us of a powerful truth: you can't control what other people do. You can only control your response. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But the woman who clings to her victimhood? She refuses that power. She surrenders it. And instead, she demands that you carry the burden of her emotions. Her moods. Her mess. If you're not careful, she will consume your time, your mental energy, and eventually, your peace of mind. So, what can you do? You recognize it for what it is. You stop playing the hero. You stop trying to fix wounds she's unwilling to treat. You stay rooted in reason, not swept up by guilt. You can be kind without being naive. You can offer empathy without giving up your boundaries. And if the story never changes, if she keeps replaying the same tale of betrayal and blame, you quietly, firmly step back. No big scene. No dramatic exit. Just calm clarity. Because as the Stoics teach us, peace isn't found in pleasing others, it's found within. And if someone keeps dragging you into chaos, walking away isn't cruel. It's wise. And now, let's talk about the next red flag. Sign number 2, she's addicted to drama. This one. You won't see it right away, but you'll feel it. In your gut. In the tension in the air before anything even happens. We're not talking about the occasional outburst we all have from time to time. We're talking about a woman whose entire life feels like a stage play. She's not just in the drama, she's the director, the lead actress, and the writer all rolled into one. And when things get too calm, too quiet, too stable, she'll strike a match just to watch something burn, because to her, peace feels boring. Coming up next. What this kind of emotional chaos looks like in everyday life, and how to protect yourself from getting caught in the flames. To her, peace is boring. Stillness feels like a threat. And before you know it, what seemed like connection turns into constant conflict. She can't sit with calm. Stability makes her restless. And without even noticing, you're swept into a storm of tension, blame, and emotional confusion. It begins subtly. Almost innocently. Maybe one night, you're a little distracted, your mind elsewhere while she tells a story. Or maybe you didn't reply to a text as fast as she expected. And suddenly, that's not just a delay. That's proof you're losing interest. That you don't care. What should have been a peaceful evening spirals into a confrontation you never saw coming. Now you're stuck trying to explain yourself, backtracking through moments you barely registered, offering apologies for things that don't quite make sense. Hours pass. You're drained. She, somehow, seems invigorated. And that's the thing about women who feed off drama, conflict gives them fuel. It makes them feel alive, and in control. Drama becomes a way to dominate the emotional climate. When chaos erupts, she becomes the sun in the center of the system. Everything, everyone, orbits around her reactions. Your mood adjusts to hers. Your plans change with her emotions. Your peace becomes collateral damage. From a Stoic lens, it's not surprising. Strip away the performance, and you'll see what Seneca meant when he said, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes." He wasn't just speaking about rage, he was speaking about blindness. About people who are so ruled by emotion that they stop seeing clearly. And this woman? She isn't looking for resolution. She's not trying to find understanding. She's seeking stimulation. Control. Power. And if you're nearby, you're her spark. Her match. Her emotional punching bag. The dangerous part? It's so easy to fall into the trap. You start thinking you're being supportive. That you're helping her through something. That if you just stay calm enough, patient enough, loving enough, it'll get better. But here's the truth, you're not calming anything down. You're playing your role in her never-ending production. You've been cast, whether you agreed or not. And with every scene, your inner peace wears thinner. You find yourself walking on eggshells. Second-guessing your every word. You become reactive instead of grounded, nervous instead of calm. And when a man loses that inner stillness, he loses his greatest power. So what's the answer? Distance. Not always physical, at least not at first. But emotional distance. Psychological space. You step back. You breathe. You stop diving into every wave just because she's crying storm. You let the chaos crash without trying to fix it. You observe. But you do not participate. As Epictetus reminds us, we cannot control the actions of others. Only how we respond. And sometimes, the wisest response is quiet. Space. The sacred refusal to be pulled into someone else's emotional theater. Because no matter how loud the drama gets, remember this, you are never obligated to be part of someone else's chaos. Up next, we'll explore another powerful warning sign, one that doesn't explode like drama, but poisons you slowly, manipulation disguised as love. You've stepped back from the drama. You've stopped chasing calm in someone else's chaos. But what happens when control doesn't come in the form of arguments, but quiet sighs, silence, and guilt? Your role as a Stoic man is to stay rooted, calm, clear-headed, and above all, free. But freedom can be slowly chipped away. Not by force, but by guilt. Here's the third sign of a destructive woman, she controls through guilt. And this one? It's subtle. You won't notice it at first. It doesn't come with yelling or accusations. It arrives quietly, almost gently. But make no mistake, it's one of the most powerful psychological tools there is. In fact, studies show guilt activates the same parts of your brain as physical pain. That heaviness in your chest. The knot in your stomach. It's real. Guilt hurts. And unfortunately, the wrong woman knows exactly how to use it. At first, you think she's just sensitive. Maybe she gets a little upset when you reschedule plans because work calls. Maybe she seems hurt when you ask for a weekend to yourself. You don't want to disappoint her, so you reassure her. You apologize. You cancel your plans. You shift your priorities, just a little. And every time you bend, you give away a small piece of yourself. You start adjusting, not because it makes sense, but to avoid seeing that look in her eyes. You know the one, the quiet, piercing disappointment that says without a word, I thought I mattered more than this. She doesn't have to say it. Her silence does the talking. Her sighs speak volumes. Before long, you're walking through life with this growing weight, like you're constantly letting her down. You try harder, give more, stay longer. And yet, it's never enough. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because the goalpost keeps moving. And here's the dangerous part. You don't even realize what's happening until it's already taken root. You've stopped leading your life based on reason or principle. Now, you're just reacting, trying to avoid that sinking feeling of guilt every time you choose yourself. That's how she maintains control. Guilt becomes her currency. And the more you pay, the more she demands. Not through direct commands, but through withheld affection, quiet disappointment, or that subtle emotional withdrawal that says, you've let me down. You start explaining your every choice. Justifying your time. You're not living, you're performing. And slowly, bit by bit, you stop being the man you were, and become the version of you she prefers, obedient, cautious, unsure. Stoic wisdom offers clarity here. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And that's the heart of it. Freedom isn't just about breaking chains, it's about not being led by emotional manipulation. It's about living by reason, not reaction. If a woman makes you feel guilty for honoring your priorities, protecting your energy, or simply needing space to breathe, that's not love. That's control. Coming up next, a different form of manipulation, one that hides beneath charm and compliments, but cuts just as deep, passive aggression and backhanded praise. When guilt becomes your compass, you're no longer steering your own ship. You're being led, and not by your principles, but by pressure. Once you start letting guilt dictate your actions, you've already given up something sacred, your freedom. That inner clarity, the one that keeps you grounded in purpose, begins to blur. Guilt clouds judgment. It twists your motives. You move, not because you want to, but because you're trying to avoid discomfort. You start living reactively instead of intentionally. But here's the truth, the answer isn't confrontation. It's not about raising your voice or picking fights. The real solution lies in setting clear, unshakable boundaries. You offer what you choose to offer, not out of fear, not to dodge blame, but because it reflects who you are. It comes from alignment, not anxiety. And when she tries to pull those old guilt strings again, when her silence stretches just long enough to make you uncomfortable, or her disappointment hangs heavy in the air, you stay centered. You remain calm. Still. Unmoved. Because the Stoic man acts from reason, not from emotional reflex. He doesn't need approval to stand firm in his truth. He doesn't abandon his values to please anyone else. As long as you live in alignment with your core, no amount of guilt can control you, unless you allow it. Now, let's turn to the fourth sign, one that doesn't pull at your guilt, but leaves you cold when you need warmth the most. She lacks empathy. This one usually doesn't show up right away. It waits. It hides until life throws a curveball. Because sooner or later, whether it's illness, loss, financial stress, or emotional wear, you'll go through something that tests your spirit. And in those moments, when you're at your most human, most raw, most in need of presence, you find out who really sees you. A woman who lacks empathy. She won't be there. Or if she is, it's out of obligation, not compassion. It's duty, not devotion. You'll notice it in the smallest ways. Maybe after a long, draining week, you open up, just a little, about how tired you feel. And she looks up from her phone, gives you half a glance, before shifting the conversation back to her schedule, her coworkers, her plans. Something trivial. Or maybe you dig deep and share something personal. Something it took courage to reveal. But instead of leaning in, she schemes right past it, like it was just small talk. There's a wall. A distance. Not just a lack of understanding, but a lack of desire to understand. One man I know, someone I deeply respect, once told me about a woman he dated after the passing of his wife. At first, she seemed kind. Supportive, even. But when his grief started to surface, not in loud, messy ways, but in quiet moments of stillness, of sorrow, she couldn't handle it. She became restless. Uncomfortable. She didn't know how to simply sit beside him in silence. She couldn't hold space. So she filled it with shallow reassurances, quick distractions, and conversations that always curved back to her world. Eventually, he realized something painful. He felt lonelier with her than he did on his own. And that's when Stoic wisdom hits home. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And I'd add, waste no more time hoping a woman will suddenly care when she's shown you she won't. Coming next, we'll dive into the fifth sign, subtle, but deeply damaging, the woman who belittles your ambition and undermines your purpose. Marcus Aurelius told us not to waste time arguing what a good man should be. And I'd add this. Don't waste time hoping someone will become something they're not. Empathy isn't something you can teach. You can't inspire it. You can't beg for it. It's either there, or it isn't. And when it's missing, you won't need a grand betrayal to notice. You'll feel it, in your bones, in your chest, in the quiet spaces where understanding should be. An empathetic partner doesn't need to fix everything. She doesn't need to offer perfect words or dramatic gestures. Sometimes, she doesn't need to say anything at all. Her calm presence, steady, open, sincere, reminds you, in your hardest hour, that you're not alone. But a woman who lacks empathy. She can be sitting 2 feet away and still feel miles from your reality. And if you catch yourself making excuses for her, saying she's just distracted or not great with emotions, pause. Listen to that inner voice. Stoicism teaches us to accept the truth of what is, not what we wish for, not what we keep hoping might appear if we just try hard enough. And here's what is. If she cannot offer compassion when life gets hard, she won't have the depth to weather future storms either. Emotional absence today becomes abandonment tomorrow. The solution? Don't plead. Don't chase. Don't try to extract empathy from an empty well. You choose differently, for your own well-being. And if walking away is the right step, then do it. Not in anger. Not with resentment. But with absolute clarity. Because life is far too short to share it with someone who hears you with her ears, but never with her heart. Now let's move to the 5th sign, a quieter danger that creeps into your peace over time. She's obsessed with superficial things. This trait can be deceptive. On the surface, it might look like harmless preference, an eye for fashion, an interest in nice things. But dig deeper, and you'll uncover a mindset that drains the soul. This is the kind of woman who measures life in appearances. The size of the house, the brand of the shoes, the number of followers, the sparkle of the ring. It's not that she enjoys nice things, it's that she equates them with identity, status, and worth. And slowly, you'll notice, what truly matters, depth, presence, connection, starts to fade into the background. Because everything becomes about how things look instead of how they feel. You may shrug it off at first. What's the harm in liking luxury, you'll think. But it's not the desire for beauty or quality that's the issue, it's what those things mean to her. Superficial validation becomes the goal. Approval from others becomes the fuel. And superiority becomes the silent motive. She doesn't just judge herself by those standards, she judges you by them too. You'll begin to feel like a contestant in a competition you never agreed to enter. No matter how successful you are, it never quite measures up, because there's always someone with more. A bigger name. A flashier lifestyle. A higher rung on the endless ladder. Whether you earn 6 figures or 7, whether you drive a dependable truck or a brand new luxury car, it's not enough. Because someone else always has more, and she's always scanning the horizon for the next step up. Over 2,000 years ago, the Stoics warned us about this very illusion. Epictetus said it plainly, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. And yet here you are, stuck in a dynamic where your value is measured by things, not character. By price tags, not principles. Next, we'll explore the 6th and final sign, a pattern that chips away at your sense of identity, when a woman tries to reshape who you are instead of respecting who you already are. The woman obsessed with status may shine on the outside, but inside, there's a hunger that never quiets. And the more you give, the more that hunger grows. Because here's the truth, she is never truly content. No matter how much she receives, no matter how lavish the gift, the praise, or the lifestyle, it doesn't bring her peace. It brings a momentary high, a fleeting rush of validation, followed by emptiness. It's like pouring water into a cracked jar. No matter how full it looks for a moment, it always leaks out. She's caught in a cycle, a chase. For likes. For applause. For admiration. For more. And if you tether yourself to her, you'll be pulled into that same exhausting pursuit. Running a race that has no finish line. But Stoicism offers us a much-needed perspective. Marcus Aurelius called external things, possessions, beauty, reputation, things indifferent. Why? Because they don't add or subtract anything from your value as a human being. Who you are, your character, your virtue, how you live and what you stand for, that's what defines your worth. And a woman who can't see beyond the surface will never appreciate those qualities in you. No matter how deeply you live by principle. No matter how grounded you are. She'll look past your integrity, blind to what really matters. Seneca said it best, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor. And the woman consumed by appearances, by status, by social validation. She is the poorest kind of companion. Because she will never know contentment. And she will never offer you peace. And peace, my friend, is what a Stoic man protects with everything he's got. If you find yourself with someone who values how things look more than how things truly are, listen to that discomfort rising in your chest. Because if you try to keep up, to meet her shifting expectations, to match her appetite for more, you won't just lose your energy. You'll lose yourself. Your clarity. Your dignity. Your sense of grounded purpose. It will be drained, chasing illusions, like trying to hold on to shadows. The solution? It's simple. But not always easy. You walk away. Not with bitterness. Not with anger. But with wisdom. You leave because you know the value of your peace. And no external luxury is worth the internal cost of living a shallow life. Now, we arrive at the sixth and final sign, a trait that may seem small in the beginning, but over time, will wear down your sense of reality. She can't admit she's wrong. You'll see it unfold in the little things first. A simple disagreement turns into a debate. A misunderstanding becomes a full-blown conflict. And no matter how calm, clear, or respectful you are, she has to be right. Always. You could lay out the facts, explain your point with grace, even provide proof so obvious a child could see it, and still, she'll twist the story. She'll spin it, reshape it, or flat out ignore it. If she can't win based on logic, she'll move the goalposts entirely. Suddenly, the issue isn't about what was said or done, it's about how you made her feel. How you're attacking her. How you always do this. The truth of the matter disappears beneath a flood of emotional redirection. At first, you might chalk it up to pride. Or maybe she's just having a rough day. But give it time, and you'll see the pattern. This isn't just a quirk. It's not random. It's a deep, embedded refusal to take responsibility. Whether it's a thoughtless comment, a poor decision, or a moment of obvious fault, she won't own it. Ever. And next, we'll uncover the deeper danger this creates, not just in your relationship, but in your identity as a man, when you're constantly being rewritten as the one to blame. It's not just stubbornness, it's self-protection. Because for her, being wrong doesn't just mean making a mistake, it means being weak. And to someone like that, weakness is unforgivable. The deeper truth is this, people who can't admit fault often aren't driven by arrogance, they're driven by fear. Their sense of self is fragile. Admitting they're wrong feels like a threat to their very identity. So they fight. Not for truth. Not for resolution. But for preservation. To defend the version of themselves that must always be right, at any cost. But in that pursuit, they sacrifice something far more valuable, growth, connection, and trust. Because a person who refuses to own their mistakes also refuses the chance to learn from them. And a person who doesn't learn, doesn't grow. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If anyone can refute me, show me I am making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after." That's real wisdom. The strength to welcome correction, not as an insult, but as an invitation. To grow. To improve. To live more in line with virtue. But when you're in a relationship with someone who rejects that principle, something shifts. You'll feel it. Your perspective is always being questioned. You find yourself walking into every disagreement already on the defensive. You become the one constantly carrying the burden of reason, of emotional regulation, of trying to bring things back to logic. And that weight? It's exhausting. And it's lonely. What should be a partnership becomes a battlefield, one where connection is replaced by control. Where curiosity is replaced by defensiveness. And the cruel irony is this, in fighting so hard to be right, she loses the one thing that gives life its purpose, the pursuit of truth. If she can't say 3 simple words, "I was wrong," then she's not just defending her pride. She's building walls. Walls between herself and truth. Between herself and growth. And ultimately, between herself and love. For a Stoic man, this is where clarity becomes non-negotiable. You must live in truth. Choose humility. Seek correction when needed. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to admit imperfection. And you must choose a partner who does the same. Not because she's flawless, but because she's willing to be flawed, and brave enough to admit it. Without that kind of humility, there can be no partnership, only silent competition. A scorecard. A tension that never truly dissolves. And life, my friend, is far too short to spend it keeping score. Seneca once said, "Only time can heal what reason cannot." But in a relationship where reason is never allowed a seat at the table, time doesn't heal. It corrodes. It erodes love. Slowly, quietly, until nothing remains but resentment. So what's the answer? Seek the kind of woman who understands that admitting she's wrong isn't a weakness, it's a strength. One of the highest forms of strength. And if she can't offer that, if her pride always comes before peace, then you owe it to yourself to walk away. Not in anger. Not in bitterness. But out of respect, for yourself, and for the life of peace, wisdom, and self-mastery you're building. Now, we arrive at the final sign, one that may seem small, even excusable, but reveals everything about how she values you. 7. She disrespects your time. Because if life teaches us anything by this point, it's that time is the one thing we can never get back. Money? You can earn it again. Health? You can fight for it. Time, it's the most valuable thing you have. And once it's gone forever. That's why a woman who disrespects your time isn't just being inconsiderate. She's being dangerous, to your energy, your emotional clarity, and your inner peace. And if you're not careful, she won't just waste your days. She'll quietly steal years from your life, one delay, one excuse, one, "sorry, something came up," at a time. I remember a man named Richard. We worked together years ago in Houston. He was a contractor, mid-50s, sharp as a blade, the kind of man who had built everything he had with his own hands. Disciplined. Self-made. Respected by everyone around him. But in his personal life, the story was different. Richard had started dating a woman named Elise. At first glance, she was captivating, warm, beautiful, charming. She knew how to make a man feel chosen. Desired. And like many men in his position, Richard welcomed that energy. But slowly, a pattern emerged. She was always late. 20 minutes here. 40 minutes there. Then came the last-minute cancellations. Not feeling well. Something came up. Sometimes she wouldn't even call. Just vanish from the plan completely. Richard, patient, grounded, let it slide. He figured it was just life. People get busy. Things come up. But days became weeks. Weeks became months. Soon, he was rearranging his life around her whims. He'd reschedule job sites, postpone meetings, cancel fishing trips with old friends, just because Elise said she really wanted to see him, only to bail, again and again. I'll never forget one afternoon, Richard and I were sitting at a cafe. He'd been stood up again. He looked down at his phone, sighed, and said something that stuck with me. "Man, I feel like I'm always waiting. That's the true cost of someone who disrespects your time. They don't just make you wait in restaurants. They make you wait in life. Emotionally. Mentally. Spiritually. You put your energy on pause. Your plans on hold. Your priorities on the back burner. And what's worse? If you're not grounded in your own worth, you start believing it's normal. That you need to be more understanding. That this is just how relationships work. But a Stoic man knows better. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And that's the truth Richard eventually came to see. Elise wasn't too busy. She wasn't forgetful. She was simply showing him, clearly, repeatedly, that she didn't value his time. And here's the kicker, because he hadn't valued it first. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And time wasted on someone who cannot respect your presence is time you'll never reclaim. The solution isn't drama. It isn't ultimatums. It's clarity. You begin by respecting your own time with the same seriousness that you respect your life, because they are one and the same. Minutes add up to days. Days shape your future. A woman who truly honors you will never dishonor your time. Because she sees it for what it is, sacred. Underscore 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 underscore. As we close this journey through the 7 signs, remember, peace, clarity, and character are the pillars of a Stoic life. And the woman you choose to walk with should strengthen those pillars, not shake them. A woman who truly respects you won't just say the right things, she'll show up when she says she will. She won't treat your time as disposable, because to her, it's sacred. And that's how it should be, because it is. Epictetus once asked, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Richard finally stopped waiting. And so should you. Because time wasted is not just an inconvenience, it's life wasted. Every minute spent with someone who doesn't value your presence is a minute stolen from the future you're meant to build. So guard your time. Protect your peace. Spend your life where it's valued. And now, I want to hear from you. Your journey matters. Your growth, your lessons, your wins, they're not just personal victories, they're part of a greater movement toward strength, clarity, and Stoic living. So if this video spoke to you, if it reminded you of something, or someone, you had to walk away from, leave a comment below. Tell us your story. Share your progress. Or just write. "I love this." To let us know you've made it through this session with us. Your engagement fuels this community of thinkers, seekers, and builders. Every like, comment, and share helps this space grow into a home for those committed to wisdom, and to the art of turning hardship into opportunity. Make sure to hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, and stay connected as we continue to grow together. And if you're ready for more, I've left 2 videos right here, designed to help you keep learning, thinking, and becoming stronger every single day. Thank you for being here. Stay grounded. Stay wise. And I'll see you in the next one.